Welcome to a lesson on lathe geometry creation. Here you can see we have a part that has been drawn in the work window of Mastercam with the front face of the workpiece and the center axis being located at x0, z0. And in this drawing you can see that we have dimensions for the overall length of 3.0 and the greatest diameter of 1.900. So those sizes will be what dictate the rough stock size that we select for this operation, and we're going to start there. So go to your machine type, select the type of machine you're going to be working on. It's the lathe in this case, and within the properties drop down window here, I want to hit the plus screen to expand, or the plus button rather. We'll click on stock setup, and we're going to consider two details here: the left spindle properties and the stock properties rather, and the left spindle chuck jaw properties. So let's start with the stock properties. And what we want to do, using this menu on its most simple functions, is to represent an outer diameter of rough stock that is greater than the finish size. So if you have a 1.9 inch finish size, it stands to reason you'll make that out of a 2 inch diameter workpiece. So we want to accurately reflect that number right here. And then for the length, we want this to be our rough stock length, and this will be your saw cut length. So if we're working with a 3 inch, or trying to work to a 3 inch finished length, imagine you saw cut the workpiece at 3.25 on the bandsaw, and then this position right here, or this field of position along axis Z, this is what dictates how much material is removed in your facing operation. So that indicates the space between this gray dashed line, which is your rough stock, and this solid white line, which is your finish size. So if you're having a difficult time determining how much material you should remove, maybe as a default you like to do 50 thou on your first face, that's fine if the application, or if it's suitable for that application. But in this, just to make things easy to help you decide with your decision making process when setting up a job, most times I like to take equal amounts of material from both faces in two separate operations. So what I like to do is the rough length of 3.25, subtract the finish length of 3.000. That leaves us with 0.25, and then we divide that number by 2 for the amount of material to face off each side. So 3.25 subtract 3.0, that leaves us with 0.25, but then we want to divide that number by 2, and you can see here we have an equal amount of material from the rear face to the rear rough stock, and then from the front face to the front rough stock. So I'll hit the check mark. And you can see now our finished workpiece is contained entirely and evenly within the rough workpiece. So now we want to set the chuck jaws, and I'm going to set very few menus in this window as well. So the first that we're going to concern ourselves is jaw width, and that's the length of the jaw. If you're looking at your jaw from your chuck right here, don't guess at this one. Make sure you know the jaw length of the chuck that you're using. So if it happens to be 1.625, we can input that number right here. So notice we have a lot of options here. The only one I'm focusing on for now is the jaw width. And then, in order to determine how much we should grip by, and we can get a nice visual representation here, I like to set the position from stock. And then in this field right here of grip length, you can just determine, do I want to grip 1 inch of material? Do I want to grip 1.5 inches? Do I want to grip only half an inch? And you can see, if I change this to 1.5 inches, we will see the chuck jaws in this blue dash line move up along the length of the workpiece so that it's coming in contact with more of the work. So I'm going to select 0.5, and I'll show you what that looks like, and you can hopefully use your own judgment to determine that that looks like a nervous bit of work. So if these are your chuck jaws, the blue dash lines, and the gray dash line is your rough workpiece, it appears as though you're not holding on to very much material here. So what I would recommend is bring that front face of the chuck jaw closer to the last face that you'll be doing machining on in this operation. So I would like to see that front face somewhere around here for a better grip, but still plenty of clearance for a safe operation. So I'll go into the stock setup, chuck jaw properties. I'm going to put that back to, from stock. I'm going to go with a grip length of 1 inch. Check mark again, and you can see here now we have plenty of engagement with the chuck jaws on the workpiece. We have plenty of clearance, so when the roughing tool and finishing tool clean this face up, there's still plenty of clearance between the cutting tool and the chuck jaws. And there you have it, a finished workpiece geometry contained within rough workpiece geometry, and we've got a representation of where those chuck jaws should fall.